Ladies and gentlemen, we are now taking hat recommendations. We got to do something about this hairline. So ladies and gentlemen, today, and those with better hairlines, I've made this joke before, but we're going to go into Fable. I love Fable, okay? I loved these games when I was slightly younger, right? Okay. If you don't know, Fable's getting a reboot, and it's being made by people that have never made a Fable game or a game like Fable. They make car commercials, dude. But we're gonna get into the news here. So let me just switch over here real quick and turn this on. My goodness, all right. But like, you know, I'm just gonna run through some of the stuff in the Xbox highlight article here. But like, you know, Fable answering big questions and developer interview. But like, is it a full reboot of the entire series, or does it sit on the existing Fable timeline? It's a new beginning. This is my first red flag. It's not a new beginning. Like, you're just gonna insert your own story for the modern audience. It says here new beginning, which is my first red flag. So naturally, I'm pretty sure that they're gonna do something related to the modern audience, right? The modern audience. It's gonna happen. It's just gonna happen. The modern audience thing is coming back. How are you balancing making a new game while honoring Lionhead's work? I'm gonna shorten it up for you. If you go look at any of the trailer footage, I'm gonna shorten this up for you right now and say that they don't. I'm gonna say that they don't. I don't think they do, personally. That's just me. And scrolling down here and then looking at how are you approaching combat? The combat doesn't really look at all like the RPG that we knew. It's gonna be vastly different. I don't know how I feel about that. I would rather remain faithful to the original trilogy and just expand on that formula rather than trying to insert all this other stuff from other games, all these other ideas from other games. I would rather Fable just be Fable. Then this is the part where they lose me big time. How has the classic Fable morality system changed? I'm gonna go through this one because this is, as a Christian man, this is gonna be where I actually probably have a critique or two. So to take it right back to the start, morality was always important. An important part of the original trilogy. Even the box art was really about the dichotomy of good and evil. That was the point. Good sir. That was the point. So we've talked about the morality system, talked about morality a great deal on this project. I think that the original trilogy is inextricably linked with the concept of good and evil, but I think morality in video games has moved on in the intervening period. What does that mean? How we think about morality in the world today has really informed how we want to represent it as a game system in this game. That's to say, there's no objective good. There's no objective evil. Really, it's just about people's subjective opinions and what they choose to value in someone else when they make that judgment. Ladies and gentlemen, this right here is the problem. This right here is the source of the problem, I would say. We live in a time where morality doesn't exist to most people. That's where we're at. And I've come to the conclusion, really, that is just God's judgment on the West. Like, we have such a high way of thinking of ourselves. We think of ourselves as this morally superior society. And maybe that's what's led to this, but it's not good. The idea that morality can be subjective is right off the bat kind of stupid. And by kind of stupid, I mean really stupid. You can't have subjective morality. See, as a Christian man, I have to be consistent, okay? I have to have a standard for morality. Everybody has to have a standard for morality. This is what makes storytelling so good. And you can go all the way back to the Greek philosophers. The Greek philosophers, like, go all the way back to Aristotle and read the Iliad and the Odyssey, like the old Greek mythology and the Greek legends, right? Just read some of those, and you will already see the dichotomy of good versus evil objectively. And that's what makes stories of heroism, of sacrifice, so entertaining for us is when we have a clear distinction of good and evil, the sacrifices that characters make, the flaws that characters have. It's not that characters are morally gray, okay? Because people have rational minds capable of making decisions. God created us that way. Not to say we have free will or anything. I was created specifically designed to, do what I was designed to do and make decisions within the bounds that I am capable of making decisions. So I have a will, not necessarily a free will, but I have a will to make decisions. And these decisions don't make you morally gray, or they don't make morality subjective. The biggest problem with subjective morality, if 51% of the population of our country just voted to reinstate slavery, would that make it okay? That you'd have to be consistent, you would have to let that go, because if morality is subjective and just determined by the majority of a population or the society in which that morality exists, right? Then to be consistent, you have to let that happen and you have to say that it's okay. But if that were true, people would still be enslaved in the West, and there's a distinct possibility that certain groups of people on this planet would be speaking German. So to say that morality is subjective, you are opening yourself up to so many flaws in your character and in your storytelling. So right off the bat, I can tell you I will not be getting this game. So then they go on to say here that so as you saw in our developer direct, our version of morality isn't a sliding scale. We've chosen to anchor this around the actions you do, specifically the things you do in Albion that are witnessed by at least one other person. But that would imply those things that they witness are objectively good or bad, and then that would slide the scales, right? So I don't know, can I still do good stuff? So if I hold on, wait a minute. So this is saying if I'm not witnessed by anybody committing a crime, then it's not a crime. That's what I'm getting from this. All right. Let me just go back and clarify that again. Specifically the things you do in Albion that are witnessed by at least one other person. So it's moral if I don't get caught. That's okay. So if the things you do are seen by one or more people, you'll start to earn a reputation for that thing. Okay, so yes, morality is determined by society around you. It's not determined by whether that action is good or evil. It's determined by the society, by the majority of people. And again, that's just the problem. We live in an immoral society. We are being judged for losing our sense of morality. That's just really all it is. And God is perfectly justified in judging us for losing our sense of morality. So he's free to do whatever he wants. He is the creator. But obviously we always use the chicken kicking example because kicking chickens is classic Fable. Well, that's true. I do like kicking chickens. Kicking chickens is fun. So if a person sees you kicking a chicken, you will start to get a reputation as a chicken chaser. Okay. And if enough people see you do it, or you do it a lot, the reputation will become one of the things you're known for in that settlement, and people will react to you based on what they think about that particular reputation. So yeah, the whole idea of subjective morality, I am not a fan of this, man. I am not a fan of it, and you got PC Gamer over here talking about it too. The whole morality system. I'm not for it. You have to have objective good and evil to have a story that portrays or has a morality system. It's just the way it is. This is why the founder of modern fantasy, Tolkien, understood this. Christian man, by the way. Good stuff. Love the Lord of the Rings. We talked about that in another video, but he understood morality and what the good and evil. And his world is just an allegory for ours, right? It's the same exact type of world. He understood what goes into a good story. You have to have objective good and evil, and you have to have a standard outside of the people in a society or the main character. I can't decide morality. You can't decide morality. 51% of the population can't decide what's moral. It's just the way it is. Killing people, murdering people is wrong. You have to specify murder. For example, murdering people is wrong. I think we all universally agree on that. That shouldn't be difficult, right? So if someone goes out and maliciously kills somebody, That's why we have a justice system, to enact justice on that individual that did that. Because what they did was morally wrong, and we appeal to that to God's law as a standard by which we determine that action as evil. And then we can enact justice. That's why we have the justice system. And that's why nations with a criminal justice system based on the Bible specifically thrive, because justice should be protected. The duty of government is to enact justice. Really, the only duties of government is to protect that which is good and punish that which is evil. That is the reason God established governments on earth. That's why he gave it to us, so that we could have justice systems and that we could protect what's good and punish what is evil. There's no gray, there's no in between. It is what it is. It just is. It really is that simple, and nobody understands that anymore, and we are being judged for it. So ladies and gentlemen, as I said at the beginning of the video, hat recommendations. Get out of here.